So what we're going to do in this video is create our first PHP file in our web directory, and we're going to preview this in our browser. And we're also going to be using a function in PHP called PHP info, which is going to give us details about our PHP installation. So this isn't just useful now for testing purposes, it's also useful in the future if you need to check certain things, certain settings in your PHP installation. So we'll be going ahead and creating this file, looking at it in our browser, make sure everything's working, and then from then on we can actually start to do some useful things. So you can see that I have the directory where I'm going to be working open in my browser, viewable via Apache. So basically what we're going to do now is open up our text editor, and we're going to go ahead and create a new file. So let's just go ahead and save this and not worry too much about putting anything in it initially, and let's go ahead and call this home.php. Now you can call this anything, but when we go back to our browser and hit refresh, if you've called a file home or index.php, typically Apache will see this as your root file, if you like, so the file that's going to be open by default. So now what's actually happened is we're not seeing the directory listing anymore, but it's automatically called home.php and processed this file. So it's the same as us typing home.php in our URL bar like this. Now if we go ahead and create any other file, so let's just go ahead and delete this home file. So let's just say contact.php. This won't be seen as a root file, so when we go ahead and browse, you'll see that this will appear here. So we can create many files, but typically what we'd do is for a file that we want to be hit initially, we would call this index.php. So let's go ahead and actually start to create some content within our file to just check that everything's up and running, that we can start developing with PHP. Now we've already, by calling this file index.php, we've given this a PHP extension, so it's now a file type PHP, it's a PHP file, and that's been interpreted by Apache, and PHP is now processing this file before returning it back to us. So how are we actually going to or what are we actually going to put into this file? Well, we need to start by opening PHP tags, which allow us to specify that we are writing PHP and this needs to be interpreted. So we use a opening or a less than sign, a question mark, and PHP. So in this case, we're just going to say PHP info, and this is a function, so we're going to supply two curly brackets, and we can go ahead over to our web or our browser and go ahead and preview this. And you can see here that I'm running PHP version 5.4.16. This is also useful because you can keep up to date with which version that you're running. Certain functionality in newer versions might be deprecated, and you might want to access functionality in newer versions, so you might want to go ahead and update your PHP installation. And as I said before, this just lists certain information about our installation of PHP. You can see different configuration files, so it's good to have this to hand if you ever need to just quickly look something up. So what we've done now is we've created our first PHP file, we've successfully run it, and we've gained some information about our PHP installation.